So I thought what I'd do for this next part is put a background foil onto here. And I want it to kind of have a irregular edge. So this has been varnished with the matte medium, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to put the gloss medium on, and got a little bit in a old medicine cup, and I have a stencil brush. Get a little wet just to start with. Dip it in here, and I'm going to do a splatter. You want to keep dipping your brush into the water and then into the gloss medium. The more liquid it is, the better it splatters. And the more liquid it is, the finer the splatters. What you might want to try is experimenting with different media on different kinds of watercolor, gouache, acrylic paints. I don't think we really want to use oil paints. I don't use oil paints, so I've never tried it. But some experiments I've done have been on 4x6 watercolor paper. What's nice about these is once you're done, you can get an envelope and stick it in and use it as a greeting card to your friends. The blue here was made by putting a watercolor onto the paper and then applying saran wrap over the top. And it gets these wrinkles to the watercolor. After it's dried for a while, you pull it off and you get these nice little patterns. Now, one thing I've found about watercolor, if you take any of the mediums, the gloss medium, the matte medium, or even the pearl, they start to break up the watercolor. Now, acrylic paints are different. They don't go moving around. They're built to go with the different medias. I have this painting that I worked on. You can see at this angle where the foil adhered to the different media in different ways. This section accepted the foil. These leaves did not. This area is pearlescent medium, and this is just a matte media over the acrylic paints. To apply the gloss media to this little painting, I actually put the media onto the saran wrap first and then flipped it over onto here and gave it the texture, and then I put it into the foiler. If you're very careful, you can brush the media onto the watercolor. When you brush it, you do have to do it very carefully into just little sections and not really disturb the watercolor underneath. It's a glazing technique that you want to apply when you're adding the media to watercolor. One thing that's fun is to use Elmer's glue. It has polymer in it, so it can work just the same. This is an intaglio print that I made. Actually, the first one I made at the Artifactory. It's a plexiglass dry point, and then I've gone over it with gouache to get the greens and some of the blues. Then in these sticks, I took and applied just lines of the media, of the Elmer's glue to these lines, and down in the water we'll look at this angle, and I think I can get the different foils showing. Yeah, right in there, you can see the foil shining off the Elmer's glue that has been, here's a gold foil and kind of a blue foil, silver foils. All these different ways of applying the media can give you different results. Another one I've tried is, this is just plain paper with an intaglio print of some iris that I drew the iris in plein air and then converted it into an intaglio. And all of the purple, I've applied gloss media to the paper. And back in these areas, there's no media at all. So the foil likes to go to the gloss and not to the plain paper. So these are all things you can use to enhance your foiling. To color the background of this, I've decided on a transparent dark green. So I printed a positive of my pine boughs. I'm going to place the color over top here. So now when I peel it, I have color stuck to the laser print. I know it does make a glossy laser print out of it. But what we have is a reverse of the image right there. So we're going to fit that into place. I have taken a piece of silicone paper and taped it to the top half of my image to protect this part from being foiled. Then I have positioned my green foil over the area and taped it down with some masking tape so it doesn't shift, hopefully doesn't shift on me. And now I'm going to roll it. Let's pull the foil and see what we get. The foil adhered better to the gloss media than to the matte media. And because I had a reverse of the gold parts, it did not stick there at all. I have more of a transparent gold that I'm foiling in just the areas I did the gloss splatter. And to do this, I'm using the hot pads, the blanket hot pads. One to hold it and one to rub down. We're going to peel this up. And we are getting a transfer in the gold areas. Yeah, you can really see where I rubbed. So we're going to try it again with another shade of green. And this time I'm using a metal burnisher. So I can get very pinpointed in where I want. the transfer to occur. Very much right where I burnished. I have some 95% denatured alcohol got here, and I'm using it to brush on, and it dissolves this darker green. And it's kind of giving us a wash. And the gold seems to be protected by the layers of different media that have been put on. But we're getting a little bit of a greenish tinge to it. What I thought I'd do next is add a stencil to this little project. Moon and Pine has been my little logo for a long time. It started out as just a little doodle, and I kept it by my work desk for a long time. So I'm going to show you how to make a stencil. This is a stencil I made a long time ago, and you can see I've used it with black paint, and I used it to make a foil just to give it a test run. What I did with this is I put the stencil down and used the polymer medium, 80-20 polymer medium and water mix, and just with a stencil brush dip it in the medium and go through and stencil the polymer medium onto there. Once that was dry, I took it into the foiler, picked a gold foil, and ran it through the heat press, and this is the result. So what I'm going to do here is cut a stencil of my Moon and Pine. Tape it down while I'm doing this so it doesn't go scooting around on me. I just realized this is a pencil from the Monmouth, Illinois Carpenters Union, Local 1265. Which is my grandfather, Richardson, on my dad's side. He was a carpenter. I don't know if I didn't get all of his skills, but I inherited a few of his tools. What I'm going to do is I'm going to trace out the pine tree. So there we have a tracing of the pine tree. Now, if I would cut this right here, I'd end up cutting into the paper. I could slip a piece of clear mylar in between to cut on it, or I can just cut it, untape it, and do my cutting either on a piece of mat board or cardboard, or I have this nice little food cutting board that I got it for free at the Iowa State Fair. So what I want to do is cut this out with the X-Acto knife. It's good to have a real nice sharp new blade. And I like to rotate the work, so I'm kind of always cutting this way. And be very careful with this. I've taken a co-worker to the emergency room because she sliced her finger and needed several stitches to get it put back together. Okay, there we have that. Next, I want to put the moon in. And I've got the moon more down. When I did this fitted into a circle, I moved the moon kind of down into this region. Right in here. And I don't have the cleanest lines for that circle. So what I'm going to do is dig deep into my collection of different jars. Save jars to keep things. Here we have fine ground black pepper. And this is my my very favorite watercolor art latex masking fluid. The bottle is just about the right size. So let's cut that out. And there we have it. Moving pines. Back over at the foiler, I have my stencil that we cut this morning. And I'm going to position it where I think I want it. So I'm going to cover any place that the foil might hit by accident. And then I'm going to place a nice piece of silver foil on, and then cover the whole thing with another silicone sheet, and we're going to roll. Now we're off the hot plate. I'm going to take away the different sheets of silicone. Once the foil's cooled down, it's still cooling, ready to peel. Ooh, looks very good, very good. Now you can see I've got a negative of the foil here. And remove my silicone. It's like it'll stick to the polymer. Just want to be careful so I don't rip anything. Especially down in these tight corners. There. We have it.